Well, my dad wouldn't have been into that kind of carry on at all. It'd have been like, man up. Do you know what I mean? Man the fuck up. And, be feeling sorry for yourself now. Get up there and get at it again. Do you know what I mean? That was very much like, that was the upbringing in that way. Certainly, there was no sitting there talking it out, feeling sorry for yourself. You know what I mean? It was literally, you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that's right either. I think there's definitely sometimes it is the thing, and it's not always. Sometimes you need. It's not as easy as that, but and sometimes that is the right advice as well. It is tough. It is hard. It is lonely. But what did you expect? This is what you signed up for.
Yeah.
How much do you want it? You're gonna sit there and cry and feel sorry for yourself. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. You think all these people are at the top now haven't gone through what you're going through right now? Are you going to sit there, roll over and feel sorry for yourself and cry and whinge? And what are you going to do? Quit? Or are you going to man the fuck up, face what you have to face? Do you know what I mean? And today's a bad day. Well, tomorrow's another day as well. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you're not going to have a good day every day. And sometimes having that's the sort of the nicer talk where someone, you can hit you hard with it and give the hard facts. But then they can also say, look, you didn't get here. It's just reminding you sometimes of the journey you've been on to get to here. When you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. You can catastrophize. The negativity kicks in, and you can just go on. One negative thought falls another. Before you know it, you thought yourself into a black hole. Sometimes you just got to call on your past experiences to go. And sometimes someone has to prompt you and go, well, do you remember that fight? Or do you remember that game? You build up to that shit. Do you know what I mean? You did play well. This never happened. You got injured, but on the night you got it together, and it was one of your better games, or one of your better fights, or whatever. And you remember that. Sometimes you have to be reminded of that, and you're like, and that like sort of switching perspective and thinking, no, that's right, yeah. You know what I mean? Everything happens for a reason. Just sometimes some of the best lessons, or most of the best lessons, came from defeat or bad days. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes the best days came right off the back of a bad one, because probably it remotivated you, it refocused you. You probably looked, but you went down and looked at your preparation with a fine-tooth comb again, because it'd be nice if we never got complacent. It'd be nice if we were 100% up for it for every single match, every single fight, but we wouldn't be human if we did do that. We try our best, and your coaches try and get you up for it and everything, all the rest of it, but they're human too. Do you know what I mean? So it's like,
just on just the fight that you had with Felix Sturm, in terms of I think you gave quite an emotional interview after it, in terms of like maybe the micropolitics of kind of judges and scorecards, etc. What are your thoughts on that as a whole from the boxing industry? So you mentioned the element of being the underdog and training and discipline and all these different factors that happen. And I think in the interview, it's very much emphasised around the kind of scorecards and how that played out for you. What were your thoughts on that as a whole?
Oh, as a commentator, I've scored a lot of fights. My unofficial scorecard for Sky, let's say, keeping an unofficial scorecard. They do a viewer's scorecard now. They just go with the kind of whatever the average is of people voting online. But for a long time, me as the lead co-commentator, I would keep an unofficial scorecard. So at the end of every round, it's a 10-point must system, 10 points for the winner, 9 points for the loser. If there's a knockdown, it could be 10-8 rounds, this type of thing. Points off, whatever. And then at the end of the fight, you just add up the scorecard, and it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? Now, having done that role as, like I say, as a co-commentator, keeping an unofficial card in an era of social media, you can imagine some of the shit I've had after fights, And the reality is, so many fights are close. So many fights against two top guys are close. That a lot of the rounds are close. You know what I mean? It's hard to pick a winner sometimes, but you can't keep scoring every round 10-10. Listen, sometimes you just can't separate them, and you'll go 10-10. But there is criteria scoring a fight that you're meant to go to. If you can't separate them, like, well, was there effective aggression? Blah, blah, all these different things, because they want you to try and find the winner of the round. Now, I remember, just for example, coming back from AJ Usyk, the rematch, which Usyk won on a split decision. And I don't know, say 90 people comment, they had 90 notifications, comments. It was like 30 people were saying something along the lines of, Macklin's a wanker. He's just bitter and sore that AJ's left Sky, blah, blah, blah. But then you got another 30 people saying, Macklin's a wanker. He's up Eddie Hearn's ass, matchroom Sky bias. So these people they don't follow it enough to realise that AJ actually isn't even with Sky anymore. You've got the ones that think I'm bitter because he's left Sky. Then you got the ones thinking I'm biased to them because it's a Sky matchroom bias. So those people are watching the same fight, hearing the same commentary, but they're hearing a completely different thing. And then you got 30 people saying, Macklin calls it spot on or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So what I mean is people hear what they hear. Now the Sturm fight, what I will say is,
Of course.
American TV, Lennox Lewis and Dan Raphael that were scoring that fight for Epics American TV, had me winning 117, 111, 9 rounds to 3. Axel Schultz, who was commentating for German TV, had me winning 8 rounds to 4, 116, 112. 88% of German viewers watching it on German television, voting online, 88% had me winning. It was a good fight. It was a hard fight. It was a very competitive fight. Felix Sturm absolutely played his part in it. But I think the overwhelming majority of people watching that fight thought I won the fight. I thought I won the fight. And I know the Felix Sturms thought I won the fight. He never said a word in the press conference. He never said a word. And he said, actually, years later, they interviewed him on his, it must have been on the anniversary of when he fought Oscar De La Hoya, when he should have got the decision. But De La Hoya was already signed to box Bernard Hopkins. And they gave it De La Hoya. Sturm was unlucky, he should have got it. And they were asking him about it, and he said, he talked about it, and then he said, sometimes you get the rub of the green. There were a couple of fights that in my career where maybe I was on the right side of a close one, and then he singled out me. He said, in particular, the Macklin one. Years later, he said it, but it's one of them. I don't have the world title belt on my mantelpiece. I didn't get it. So it's came close with Martinez, came uber close. Should have had it with Sturm, but that's the way it goes. But do I think it was corrupt? I don't think so. I don't know. I think people get swayed, with the crowd. People get swayed. People see how they see it. Like I say, he's I don't know. The judge that had him winning, he's not the only person that had him winning. Do you know what I mean? But they're in they're in a massive minority. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, Sturm played his part. It was a good fight. Do you know what I mean? And that's one thing that probably pisses me off about it. Not just that I was the wrong end of the decision. I mean, I'm glad that people talk about the decision when it comes up, but it's a shame in one sense because nobody talks about what a great fight that was. And it was a great fight, of which he absolutely played his part. Like it was a ding dong, you know, and it was an unbelievable fight. But no one really says that. Everyone just talks about the decision, which is a shame.